Welcome back to the Brew Crew podcast, everyone. This is day number 8 of the Advent calendar. We're getting there. We are approaching Christmas at rapid pace.
We are.
The gift shopping for me is not up to the Matt standard of... I'm sure Matt, let me guess. I'm going to say Matt gets his Christmas shopping done sometime in early August. Because everything that Matt does is planned.
Wow.
Well planned.
I'm not worthy.
It's
I'm still working on it.
To catch Matt on a whim, I guess, or to catch him off schedule, spontaneously, and Matt and I had on Top Gun Day, we had a day where it was totally unplanned.
Did that drive him nuts?
And no, it was a great, fun day. I think that's probably when Matt has the most fun. It's just uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Anyway, a lot of great comments on the technical talk that you've been giving.
Oh, thank you.
But also a lot of small digs at the length of our episodes.
Oh.
But I will say this: I had some insane dental work done today, so I don't know that I'm gonna give it the. Here's the. I don't know that I'll give it the. Extensive talk that I know, but I will give it a fair review. I will not cheat the review. The Novocaine's gone, so I can taste the beer. It's just I don't know how much talking I feel like doing, so maybe this will be a shorter one.
No worries, John. I got it from here.
I know you got it. Maybe we should.
Just kidding, Chuggalos.
We could cram the same content because I think there's a lot of positive reviews on the content. Maybe we could cram that into a shorter period.
Yeah, I think we should. John and I have been talking. It doesn't matter. We've been talking about this. Anyway.
If you want to hear it, then you'll watch. If you don't, then you won't. It's just really what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's long.
We will separate some of the technical talk, and we'll put them in their own videos. Not from these. We're not going to cut them. We're going to do separate videos for technical beer talk. But if you want bits and pieces of that, this is the one you listen to. If you want. Just the flavors. Matt's going to give you the most poetic flavor conversation. He's going to use words like effervescence.
Wow.
Very drinky words. Words you can drink.
Words you can
That's
drink.
a new podcast idea. Words you can drink
Words
with Matt.
you can drink.
He's going to say effervescence. He's going to say viscosity. He's going to say a lot of things about how the palate receives the liquid. Whereas you're going to talk technical about how the beer process is made. Me, I'm just going to give it my best. Give it the old college try. We also have Mike, who's been doing a bang-up job. I think his episodes are phenomenal.
Digging it. Mike.
Ryan and his wife, just a laugh fest. I can't believe the delivery that he gives. I feel like at first I was like, oh, this is going to be brutal. No, and I mean no offense by this, because what I'm about to say is awesome episodes. Just absolutely deliver. He delivers on and his wife. Different costumes as well. And Stev's videos are always surprising because there's always some element that is unexpected. And I love the music because he was right. In the first episode, I think he mentioned there's pauses. He takes pauses. He's alone on these reviews.
Yep.
So bring your wife in if you want. But the music really fills that space. Anyway, that's the review.
I love Steve.
That's about all the talking I wanted to do, so now I'm going overtime here.
Cool.
Let's get into the beer. Sorry
By
for
the
those
way, that
who didn't want that recap.
The one I did with the Ottinger, whatever that is.
Odekringer?
Odekringer, thank you. Wow. Impressive. That
solo
one I did with some of the technical talk, that was in 15 minutes. I was surprised.
That was excellent.
And it was I did a tasting and that stuff, so it's doable. We can do it.
So let's try it. Hoosier Brewing Company. Hoosier Brewing Company is out of Greenwood, Indiana. Of course, Hoosier Brewing is going to be out of Indiana. If you haven't seen Hoosier, is that the movie? Is that the documentary or is that a movie, an acted movie? Well, there's one about the Indiana team, right?
Hoosiers was the basketball movie.
Was the documentary.
Yeah.
About high school team, right? Phenomenal movie.
Yep.
Awesome movie. Yep. Doesn't matter. That's not what we're drinking. We're drinking a beer, not a movie. Let's crack it, and then That way one of us can talk while the other gets kind of acclimated to the beer.
Yep.
So not primed. That's strike one. 3, 2, 1. Wow, the crack was very quiet.
It was.
Oh, we were supposed to roll it. Son of a bitch. Son of a poop. Roll me gently. Keep me cold and drink soon. Well,
I didn't roll.
Here's what I'll do.
I didn't roll. Mine's warm.
Yours is not warm. Is it warm?
Yeah, it's
Here,
warm.
I guess we can mix that. It shouldn't be warm. I put it in the fridge.
Yeah, let's see.
Maybe you're cold. Let's talk about the technical nature of you being cold.
I'm from Minnesota. I love cold.
No, like your body's cold and
yes, I'm cold because I grew up in a snowbank.
Are you
I was
feeling
born in a snowbank.
A cold beer?
Well, let's see. Look at the head on that. First thing.
That's your pour.
Phil notices. Look at that head. Same
Perfect.
thing.
That's a perfect pour right there.
It's beautiful.
There is
debris. I'm not
in
saying that to complain. This is a great head.
There's definitely debris in this beer, which I think is interesting.
But it's clearer than the last two we had. Mm-hmm. The last two we had were very opaque and cloudy. This is nice. Even that Otakringer. Otakringer was that beautiful amber, but it was fairly hazy.
All right.
This is going to be hazy by nature. Because...
Why by nature?
Because it's a New England IPA. It's a neat...
Oh, it is in New England. Yeah, I didn't
is.
really introduce the beer properly. This is called Triple Decker. It is a triple IPA, triple New England IPA. So by nature, but it's not... Technically, if it's a New England IPA, it's not by nature. They intended on making it hazy.
Yes, that's right.
Because they made it a New England. So we know from the double IPA episode that a triple IPA should just be 3 malts.
Yep.
3 types of malts. Or just 3 malting processes.
Malt by 3.
Malt times 3.
Malt times 3.
Got it. So, but what we didn't talk about yet was what makes it a New England. What is haze? And why is it always less dank? Those are my 2 questions. Then a West Coast.
Well, let's take the first one. The second one first. That's the easier one.
Second one first. Why is it less dank?
Dankiness, which is the aroma, the nose smell, most of that comes from the hops. And so it is 2 reasons for that. One is it doesn't have the really potent, pungent hops that they use in West Coast IPAs, which are all from the Pacific Northwest. The hops that they use, the varietals that they use, are more closely related to our friend Mary Jane.
Not my friend. No, I do not partake. But
nor do I.
It is in the cannabis
family.
Nor do I.
Let's just make that.
Or is cannabis in the hops
professionally
family?
Clear.
It's
their cousins.
Honestly, God, truth, I'm not hiding it. I don't really partake. I don't partake in marijuana. But so is cannabis in the hop family or hop in the cannabis family?
I don't know. It's they're cousins.
They're cousins. Okay,
they're closely related cousins. So when you smell a hop, it's got that pungent aroma, very, very similar to cannabis, but it's sweeter than cannabis. It's a different.
Okay, so they're using less bitey, less bitter hops. That's
they are using and different hops.
So
right?
that's what that's what makes it hazy. That's what makes it hazy, less bitey.
That's what makes it have less of a hop bite. And less of a pungent aroma when you're smelling it like this.
Okay, so what makes it hazy?
What makes it hazy is in the brewing process, when you are brewing at a warmer temperature, I'm trying to remember this now, when you're brewing at a warmer temperature, you typically tend to get more an ale, right? Because an ale's the top fermenting brew, and it's a warmer temperature fermentation. And when you do that, you're going to get what's called trub, more trub, a higher trub content.
TRUBE.
TRUB, I think it is.
TRUB.
I think it is, but it's pronounced trub. And what it is, it's little protein particulates that ferment out as part of the fermentation process, and it's protein, so it's floating around in there. It's not bad for you. It doesn't have a taste or anything like that. It doesn't impart any taste, but what it does do is it makes it cloudy. Now you get trub in every ale that you brew, but a lot of times the trub will sink to the bottom, and then when the brewer racks it off from the first primary fermentation to the secondary fermentation, they'll rack it off and they'll intentionally leave all the trub in the bottom, right? So that they'll try to minimize the trub. And each time you do that, it makes it clearer and clearer, right? But there'll still be trub that comes out of the secondary fermentation, and then you go to either tertiary fermentation or you go to bottling, right? Now, if you go to bottling, there's still going to be some haziness in most any ale, some lagers too. And what they'll do is they'll either do a cold press process or they'll put it through. What was that we used to use? There's
no clue.
There's a mineral.
Is this relevant to the New England or
to
the non-New England?
It is. I'm getting to that, right?
Okay.
So what they do is there's these little mineral chips that you put in there, and the mineral chips interact with them, attract this
water softener.
Yeah, exactly. Fall to the bottom, and then you just rack the beer off of that, and it's nice, beautiful, clear, beautiful amber colored beer, right? So what they've done is they purposely left the trub in the last fermentation to get this cloudiness.
I wonder if there's any of that behind why truth is called truth.
Oh, maybe.
Like maybe there's like a joke there that no one's in on except the brewer.
Yeah, that'd be indicative.
What's the truth? I left the trub in.
Yeah, I left.
Anyway, look at that type of education. You can't get that in school. Okay, that's real life experience right there. You can only get this type of stuff from Chuggalos Phil. I mean,
damn, I should charge what colleges charge.
Like I'll say that even though Phil made the list, he does not know day to day which beers we're gonna drink. He comes over, or I go to his house, and the beers are pulled out of the fridge basically right before, and so he pulled all of that off the top of his head, all of it. That's experience, is what that is. That's where that comes from. It's not that fancy book learning, you know.
Them newfangled books, things called books.
Here's the funny thing: at this point I don't even remember what brewery it was, but there was a brewery that would not allow our podcast to come in and interact because they said that we embraced frat culture. Right?
What?
Because at the time our name was different, which I understand. But after Matt has just finished his master's degree, I've had mine for a number of years, and pretty much everyone. This podcast, like per capita, has like more education than like probably most breweries. I'll be honest. That doesn't mean anything because experience, as you've seen, gives you that edge. Education plus experience. I'm just saying that. It's crazy to think that that's coming out of the Frat Culture podcast, what you just said.
That's ridiculous.
Anyway, let's review this beer.
It's really not very nice of them to say that about Matt just because he wears a headband.
I know, right? And just because, he enjoys hanging out at fraternities. There's nothing wrong with being in a fraternity. The fraternity is a brotherhood for life.
What
is frat culture?
Man.
Getting a degree? Is that part of frat culture?
I'll tell you right now.
Becoming a productive member of society through education. I'm not saying you can't be a productive member of society without one. I am also a firm believer in the trades. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah.
If you're in a fraternity, what is frat culture?
A lot of beer drinking.
Brotherhood
and a lot of beer drinking. Yeah, a lot of beer drinking.
Fine, that sounds like a brewery to me. Honestly, that sounds like a brewery.
I spent 4 years in a
You spent 4 years in a brewery.
In a fraternity. And our house was a brewery. And my mom and dad came down to visit me one weekend. And, quick Phil story. Promise it'll be quick. They came down to visit me. We were going to
fly towards the finish line, but
we were heading there.
I'm fine with the...
We took a Phil detour.
We can detour.
My parents came down to visit me. I was going to Drake University, so any of my fraternity brothers that ever watch this on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, they're going to know the truth anyway.
Outshout to which was the fraternity?
Theta Chi's, Gamma Tau.
Outshout Theta Chi, Gamma Tau?
Gamma Tau chapter of Theta Chi fraternity. And we drank a lot of beer. We all had a collective, a lot of experience drinking beer. It wasn't quite the same way as this. Yeah, it was more volumetric.
It's growth. You got to start somewhere. Everybody starts somewhere. We don't all start
started all right.
as, program managers. You got to be an intern at some point, and then you graduated into all these different things. You started on what? What were you drinking back then? Milwaukee's Best?
Oh, cheap shit.
What's cheap shit? What was cheap shit in your?
Well, Peggy's
probably
was
let's
the bar.
just pick any
Peggy's
year.
was the bar, and it was Miller Lite, Bud Light, and what was the third one?
Yeah, but no college kid drinks those. Those 4 standards,
That's what
American
drank.
standards. Really, every college I've ever visited,
I think it was Bush. We might have had Bush, I think, too.
they all drink shit.
Oh, by the
garbage,
way, oh my gosh. Bush beer, back then, Bush wasn't the same Bush it is now.
It's a different Bush now.
Bush was really crappy.
Yeah, we've definitely established that the recipe's changed.
Yeah.
And it's great now. Everyone drinks Bush.
But we used to drink Blatz. We used to drink Blatz in college. We used to drink Milwaukee's Best.
That's all of the friends that I visited that were in fraternities, it was always Milwaukee's Best. Sometimes Ice House, which will fuck you up.
You know, some guys from
Ice House will get you messed. Ice House is a hangover. Like you decided when you decide to drink Ice House, you've decided on a hangover.
Oh, jeez.
The next day, you're like, yeah, I'll do that. That's fine.
I had many hangovers, and I didn't decide on them, but they decided on me.
Well, if you choose Ice House, you've chosen a hangover.
Anyway,
do they still make that Ice House?
I don't know. I haven't seen it in years.
Anyway,
I haven't seen it in years. I do remember some other alcohol we drank, though, that was instant, absolute, for sure, 100% hangover, like Mad Dog.
Mad Dog,
remember
Mad
Dog? 2020.
Mad Dog, yeah, we had that on the podcast.
Oh, man. And a lot of other
Early, when we were the different name.
Yep.
We were a frat name. Anyway, that was great. Did you finish the detour, or did I interrupt you?
No, my mom and dad came down.
Oh,
They were. I was in the choir, and we had a concert. We had a concert on a Sunday, and they drove down. It's about 3.5 hours. They drove down to come see me in the concert, and they came to. I was going to meet them at the concert venue, and they decided to surprise me and come to the fraternity, and it was a night after a wicked party.
Oh, I bet.
And they walked in, and there was just the place stunk like beer because there was the carpets were soaked.
Oh yeah, of course.
There were half empty, half drank beer cups all over the hearth, the fireplace right when you walk in, and on the railing of the staircase going upstairs. And my mom started crying. My grandma was
She's
with
like, my
too.
son's a failure.
Oh my God,
he's never going to amount to anything.
She was traumatized. My mom
That's amazing.
And it broke my heart. I was so.
Your mom, at the sight of a fraternity after a party, she broke down in tears.
She started crying.
Jeez Louise. She
had no idea that was the kind of lifestyle.
Unbelievable.
I told her. She was in a sorority. She went to the University of Minnesota. My dad, who was in a fraternity.
Your dad was like, hell yeah, and you guys.
Yeah, my dad used to come down for father-son weekends.
Oh, I can't wait. I
had a great time.
If my son's in a fraternity,
Mom was
I'm going.
And I was like, I looked at my dad, and I was like, Dad, what do I do? Why did you bring her here? And he's like, don't worry, I'll take care of her. She'll be okay, But Mom was traumatized at the fraternity.
I honestly cannot imagine. I guess that, just based on, knowing you and your personality, if Katie and I went to visit our sons at a fraternity and that exact same scene happened, it'd be laughter. Instantly for Katie, right?
If one of your sons is in a fraternity,
she'd be like, "This is
I'm going
hilarious.
with you.
I can't wait.
If
they do that as a father-son weekend, I'm going.
And I'll go too. I'll be like Grandpa. Grandpa's here. I invited myself.
Yeah, I got plenty of stories, but we'll save that for another time. Thank you for that detour. That was actually a very pleasant detour. If you want more detours like that, just keep watching because they happen pretty much every episode.
I got a lot of fraternity brothers that know a lot about beer, so
let's call them up.
I don't know if any of them have brewed before.
Any fraternity brothers in Ohio? We could get them on the show.
Actually, I don't know.
We could have just SFIL. We could have SFIL Nostalgia Day.
Oh man, I'm not sure that would definitely not be PG rated. There are elements of it that
none of this is PG rated. None of this is PG rated. All right, I'm not even going to get up. Here, right. I put the camera further back, so it's too far away for me to walk. And, luckily, SFIL's handling most of the talking. Here's the camera. The camera bonus segment brought to you by Barrel House Chuggalo Todd. Thank you, everyone. This is a triple-decker cheeseburger. It looks great. The bacon, here's a polarizing topic. The bacon on this hamburger looks like it's floppy bacon. It's cooked to the point where it's healthy to eat. Not healthy, but it's safe to eat because it's cooked. Yeah. But it is not crunchy. If I'm eating a bacon cheeseburger, my bacon needs to be crunchy. It's going to offset the texture from the meat. Now, this is not a burger podcast, so we don't need to go into too much detail about that. I just think that the bacon on this cheeseburger is undercooked for a cheeseburger. It's cooked well if you're having bacon and eggs.
I agree.
But it's not cooked well enough for a burger. But the burger looks amazing. It's triple decker. It looks like these are some hearty ground beef burgers that were probably handmade. They're not frozen. They're not like the store-bought shit that shrivels up.
Yeah.
These are definitely cooked on like a short order cook thing like Sliders. If you've ever been to Sliders. If you've never been to Sliders, I think it's on Watervliet, I don't know how to pronounce it. In Dayton. I think it's Dayton or Kettering, whatever town that is. It is, from my perspective, I've had it. It's the best burger I've had in Dayton. Some people say there's another place on Woodman that's even better than that. Never been there. I don't know. I'm going to speak for Sliders. This looks like a Sliders triple decker.
It does.
It looks really good. It's got all the accoutrement. Matt says ketchup is for children. Matt's wrong. What do you think?
Ketchup? I'm not a huge fan. I barely eat ketchup, but I love mustard.
Enjoy what you enjoy. Don't let people like Matt tell you you're a child. Because Matt is a child.
There's American cheese on there.
Is that American? It looks
It's
white.
American. Yeah. I think it's American.
It is American.
There's also a pickle.
Matt's got strong opinions on cheese, too, because he's from Wisconsin.
Of course he is. Of course he does. He would. And I wouldn't argue with him because he is a cheesehead. So.
Now, Indiana, they seem like an American cheese kind of place.
Yeah, it does.
You know?
Pretty much.
You're going to get American cheese in Indiana.
Dude, look at that. A little pickle sticking out. And I know my friend John, and I certainly... We're big pickle fans.
I love pickles. Pickles are one of the best things to put on a sandwich.
Oh, yeah. You gotta have pickles.
I eat pickles almost every day. They sell individual packets of pickles now, like cut up. Not like the pickle that you buy in the gas station, like the big pickle that's not cut up. They sell cut up pickles now. I just buy them, eat them by the bag. Anyway, I substitute those for chips because chips are not healthy. So that's Hoosier Brewing. That's the Can Art Bonus segment brought to you by Barrel House and Chuggalo Todd. The only sponsors we ever have are in the Can Art Boner segment. But if you want to sponsor any of this, you're in, dude. Let us know. You could pay. We'll sell out right away. Like if we do honest reviews. But if Hoosier Brewing paid us money, which they didn't, so this review's honest. But if they did, I'd be like, oh wow, this is a 5. This is probably a 5.25 out of 5. I'll sell out immediately if you want to sponsor this podcast. We need gear and shit. I'm joking. What I mean by that is the reviews will always be honest.
Yeah.
The reviews will always be honest, but that doesn't mean that in mid-review we can't steer you towards a brewery. We can't do some advertisements. We have almost 80 subscribers now. We're at 79, I think, as of today. We've got this advent calendar alone has gained 4 to 5 followers.
Wow.
This is pretty big. I know that doesn't sound like Mr. Beast is probably watching laughing his ass off. Mr. Beast, why don't you subscribe, man? Just subscribe to this shit. He doesn't subscribe.
Or just toss us a little something this way.
No, don't toss. I don't want free handouts. Just a subscription.
Why not?
Just subscribe.
I hear you.
Tell your no, Mr. Beast has a lot of children viewers. I don't want him telling them about our podcast.
No, not that.
I would rather have adults do it.
All right, so let's get down and dirty in the beer.
I know. Jeez, this was supposed to be a short episode.
I know.
I didn't even really want to talk because of my mouth.
It may actually be longer.
I wound up talking, and I'm talking pretty loud, even though the microphone's right here, because mentally the iPad's way down there. I can't even see it. It's so small. It's like an ant. It's like a little ant down there.
We're close, Mike. We got a little AKG.
But the mic's right here.
Yep.
All right, you go first.
All right. Some classic IPA flavors in the flavor profile. It's very malty. It's got a great malt quality to it. It's got a nice little hop bite, but it's not overly hopped. It doesn't have the pungent hops. It's got the more typical, East Coast hops and Midwest hops. And therefore, it's a little bit better balanced on that, but the bitterness is definitely higher than a normal ale. as you would expect from an IPA because it's balancing out the alcohol content. What did we say that was, John?
Well, I'm looking at it right now because it's not listed.
So you can tell it's a more flavorful beer, of course.
This is going to be like an hour-long episode.
And oh my gosh,
no, it's not.
We better not.
Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
After the digs we got too. It's
9.2%. 9.2%.
That's high.
I could have told you that it was probably that.
I was going to say 8. I was going to say 8.2, 8.3.
70 IBUs.
But
that actually seems high to me.
It's not a high IBU score for a 9.2 though. So the IBU score is the bitterness, which is the hops. So it's just telling you that even though it's 9.2, they haven't hopped it up to, so the IBU should be a little bit higher than average because the alcohol's higher, right? So they kind of try to balance that a little bit. So they didn't, which is why this tastes a little bit more like that. You can taste the strength in it. It's not alcohol-y though, I would say.
You don't. All right.
I mean,
it's not my review. It's your review.
You can taste the.
This alcohol, is why we switch off.
But it's not. Yeah, but it's not. And we don't always like the same beers, by the way. But it's not that. It's kind of rare though. But you can taste it. It's a stronger beer.
We like the same beer.
What's that?
What's rare? That we like the same beer?
No, that we don't like the same.
Oh yeah,
that we differ.
Yeah.
So this just happens a couple of times. So it's a strong beer, and you can taste that in it. It's strong, but it's balanced. And I really like this beer a lot. The haziness really doesn't have an impact on the flavor profile, but you can tell it's a New England IPA because of the hop characteristics and a little higher content of alcohol. Although that is mostly because it's triple IPA. So remember, triple IPA. If you did the math equally, and your average IPA is 5% or whatever, and you double the malt, you're not going to get double the alcohol out of that, but it's going to be probably 2 more points. You're probably going to get a 7-point something IPA, which is exactly what we had with the DIPA, right? Because they have twice the amount of malt that they're putting into the brew, right? So the same thing's going to be with the triple. That's why it's 9.2. But it's so you just got a lot more sugar because you got a lot more malt in there, right? So it's going to ferment out. So and there's always some unfermentable sugars, as I talked about in day 5, and that's what gives it this more sweetness. You always get that more residual sweetness in there because there's always something that won't ferment out, and it just leaves it as sugars. So higher alcohol content, but balanced by the hops in a really lovely way. Balanced by some additional sweetness from the unfermentables that came out of the malt. And I don't know, I'm digging it. I kind of went technical there a little bit, but I'm really digging it. It's a great flavor profile. It's not, it doesn't stand out as like the greatest IPA I've ever had or anything, which I love IPAs. I always go, crazy for them. But it's really, really good. I would drink it again for sure. It's very drinkable, even though it's high octane. I'm going to give this beer. I'm going to give this beer a 4.25.
All right.
Pretty high.
All right. Good review. I think we're going to be in pretty stark disagreement on this beer. Every bit of the 9.2 you can taste in this beer. It's totally prevalent on both the tongue and the breath. It's so boozy. And I don't think it's because I didn't roll the can. I swirled it. It's boozy. This beer, it shows its ABV. It shows its age. Not its age. It shows its ABV immediately on the tongue. The unique thing about this beer, I would definitely categorize this beer as a creamy IPA. It is a weird feeling. I think it's a mouthfeel, but I also feel like it's a breath thing. The hops do not show themselves until you're breathing out. Almost everything that's unique about this beer happens on the breath. The taste itself, it's creamy. It's like a creamy beer that's all booze. The hops don't show up until you breathe out. I actually didn't even think that there was a hoppy profile to this beer until I burped the first time. It's a weird beer. I would actually get rid of the burger, and I would put an ice cream, soft serve ice cream on there. This is as close to a vanilla IPA as you're going to get. And I don't mean vanilla in like the insult way, like where you're like, you're a vanilla person, you have no personality. No, like this is a creamy vanilla flavoring. It's not vanilla, but I'm saying that it's like a creamy IPA. The whole feeling of this beer, it coats your tongue in a way that's unusual for a New England. The haziness definitely, I mean, it's a New England IPA. You taste it and you're like, yeah, this is not that hoppy at all. In fact, like I said, I didn't taste hops until I burped the first time. I wasn't sure that hops were even going to be part of the flavor profile. It's definitely,
wow.
It's boozy and creamy. That's it. This is the, I mean, this is the only word I could use is creamy. This beer has some sort of like dairiness to it. I don't hate this beer. I don't love this beer. I think if you could take the exact same beer and just let's get some of that booze out of there. Maybe put it in a dippa. Change the logo here or the can art to something not a burger. This beer would be excellent after dinner. It would be it almost would be like the equivalent to a dessert wine. This wow. IPA could be, in my opinion, an entry into IPAs for a hater. It's so smooth. It is so unintrusive on the bitterness. That's why I said 70 IBUs seems high to me, even though that's a low number. I feel like 70 IBUs is high. This thing is not bitter on the tongue at all. If you hate IPAs, or you're like one of the people who's like, only hipsters like IPAs, and I'm going to make fun of IPAs because I'm clever. Actually, this beer would be a really good starter beer for you because you clearly haven't had a good one. It's a good one. Not my preferred type. I give this beer a 3.0. It's definitely drinkable. It's definitely finishable. And it's definitely a beer that you can have at the right time. But it is not... But like many IPAs, which are accessible and drinkable anytime, I think this beer has a place as a after meal beer.
Wow.
And that is my review.
We couldn't disagree more.
You don't taste any creaminess in this beer?
It's creamy, but there is a decided hop bite in this. The hop bite hits the back of your tongue and the roof of your mouth and the soft palate in the back of your throat as you're going it down, and you feel the burn as it's going down.
That burn is alcohol.
There's more to it than that.
That burns booze.
It's
this is great. I love disagreeing.
It's hot.
You're getting fired up. I love it.
You have to understand, hop gives a bite to the beer.
Yeah, I know hops.
It's not the alcohol. It's hops that give the bite to the beer.
I didn't say bite. I didn't use that word.
Well,
bite. What I used is, I love this conflict, by the way. What I'm saying is that the hops don't show themselves until
that's not true at all. It's not true at all. There's hops on the way down, and there's hops well after you swallow it in the finish, and it's in the soft palate of your mouth and on the back of your tongue. It's clear. It's hops. It's all hops. It's not overpoweringly hops like the pungent, super dry hopped, West Coast stuff that we often drink too. But it's hop bite nonetheless, and you have to have that in there because your comments, your later comments, which I agree with, that were spot on, was it's a very smooth beer. How do you get a smooth beer out of a 9.2 triple IPA? You only can get that by balancing it out with hops.
No,
that's how
that's
true.
That actually conflicts with what you said, because smoothness and bite are antonyms.
No.
What I'm saying is that the only bite, but it is, and I didn't use that term bite. The only thing that kind of hits you on the palate is the alcohol. The hops do not hit you as bitter hops, which makes it smooth. And the less stark the hop, profile on the flavor, the smoother the beer is. I think that bite is what makes IPAs unapproachable by people who don't like IPAs.
So here's how it works.
This is great.
This is how it works, folks.
This is how it works. Facts.
The alcohol is, remember what alcohol is. It's fermented sugar.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
It creates sweetness. So how you balance the sweetness
but
in a
alcohol
beer,
does have a flavor profile. Let's not forget that. Oh, we disagree. I think we just have to disagree here. I don't want to be schooled
you can't
on a subjective topic.
It's not subjective whatsoever.
Totally,
the whole concept of brewing, you can ask any brewer. Let's go to Ryan Geist tomorrow.
This is
and
awesome.
We'll go ask the brewer.
You don't think alcohol has a flavor?
I think alcohol has an impact on the flavor.
No.
But I'm telling you, the biggest impact.
We so disagree.
The biggest impact on flavor is sweetness, because that's what it is.
I'm not asking what's the biggest impact on flavor. I'm asking what does alcohol have a flavor profile?
Alcohol, in this sense, is a.
What other senses exist?
Alcohol is a carbohydrate. That's what alcohol is. It's a carbohydrate. It's a fermented starch or sugar, which starches and sugars are carbohydrates.
But like when you describe
it's a sweetness.
When you describe
when you brew a beer, you have to add hops, enough hops to balance the alcohol, which is the sugar that you're putting into it, so it's not an overly sweet dessert.
I don't hate this beer, by the way.
Right, so it's imperative, especially, remember what this is. It's not an IPA. It's a triple IPA.
It's a triple
9.2. You have to add more hops to it. So there is a hop bite.
I've been over-hosted, by the way.
But
I gotta get a word in here, and I'm gonna cut you off.
Go ahead.
When you hear the term booziness, when you hear that term, does that term not elicit the idea of a flavor? The tongue.
I disagree with you. I don't think this is boozy.
Oh, okay. That's okay. Because that's a subjective thing. Like, what you taste and what I taste, that's our opinions.
Right.
And I taste booziness.
You think it's boozy, right?
Yeah, and that's okay. We can disagree on the flavor of the beer. Do we fundamentally disagree that that is a thing you could taste?
Boozy? Oh, yeah. I think you can.
Okay.
My idea of booziness is Old Foghorn. You know Sierra Nevada's Old Foghorn, which is barley wine. Mm-hmm. It's about, I don't know, anywhere from 12 to 14% depending on the year, right? You could taste every bit of the booze.
If you can hide it in barley wine, you're an expert.
Yeah, and nobody does.
I mean, sure. Well, we had that one last year. What was it called?
Celebration.
D something.
No, what was
Start with a D.
No, Conundrum.
No, we had that barley wine last year. That was a 5. Everyone gave it a 5.
Oh, I thought that was Conundrum. Wasn't that Conundrum?
No, it was
the big bottle.
That might be this year.
What the hell was the name of that?
It doesn't matter. But what's awesome is what's awesome is this disagreement. Okay, so we've cleared it up. We disagree that this beer's boozy. I think it's boozy. He doesn't. I also think that there's a creaminess to it. You did say there was a little creaminess.
Oh, there's absolutely. You can tell that by the head. The head that imparts a real creamy flavor.
Okay. Even with that disagreement, I still agree. Even with what I think is booziness, I think this is an approachable beer by a novice IPA drinker. Someone who doesn't like them, someone who's new to the game, someone who maybe is critical of IPAs. I think this beer, and I don't mean this in this is not a negative. Matt and I talk about this all the time. Can you enter craft beer through this beer? We talk about that a lot of times.
That's interesting.
And most of the time it's around a sour. Because sours can be very off-putting. But in this case, West Coast IPAs are not an entry-level beer.
No,
if you're drinking a West Coast IPA, you like IPAs. But this beer, a New England, by its category, throughout its category, typically might be a good entry-level IPA. From there, you could go to a regular IPA, like Truth, Boat Show. Then from there, you could go to West Coast. But from New England, that's a good place to start because it's smoother.
John, I love you. You've just proven my point. Here's why.
I have not proven
Yes, you have. You have, and I'll tell you why. I agree with you. This is a great and drinkable beer for anybody of any experience at all. Right? Think about it.
No, that's an opposite of what I said, though. You're taking my words and literally flipped it.
No, you said
this is a good beer for an someone to enter into craft beer on.
Right.
Not someone who has experience.
No, I said That's what I said.
Oh, okay.
I said, well, okay. So if an entry level person can drink this beer because it's that smooth, then certainly an experienced person.
An expert. Yeah, right. Certainly someone with experience.
So that's what
can drink anything they want.
Right.
And will probably.
But the point is, I would never, on an average, everyday basis.
Yeah.
New England or no New England, I would never introduce a brand new person to craft brewing and craft beers to a triple IPA. That's just way over the top. It's like, giving somebody a celebration. We had a celebration last year.
Because it's boozy? It's
too
boozy.
It's just too full flavored and full of stuff, right?
I don't know. I think it's too boozy.
No, it's not too boozy.
To introduce
not
somebody.
Too boozy. I
think we're gonna keep gotting you. We're gonna keep gotcha. We're gonna gotcha until this podcast, until I run out of memory or storage space on my iPad. We're not gonna do that. This is the thing. This beer was supposed to be a quick review. I was supposed to talk very little. And it's probably this. I'm guessing we're at like 35, 40 minutes now. This is like a full podcast episode. That was triple decker, triple New England IPA. Yep. Just an unbelievably polarizing beer. I've never disagreed with SFIL to this level before. To the level where I'm gonna plant the flag and I'm gonna
You're gonna die on that.
We're gonna just. I'm not gonna die on it. You might die trying to get onto my hill because I'm right. No, I'm kidding. That's the thing about the Brew Crew podcast is like everyone has opinions, and that's what makes Beer Snob so fucking stupid. Is that like I think this thing, he thinks this other thing, and at the end of the day, what are we really doing? We're drinking a beer together, and that's fucking awesome.
And you know what? We're enjoying the hell out of it.
Yeah, this has been a great conversation. I've never had this type of heated argument, and it's great. We're almost done with our beer. I've enjoyed this time. That's what Brew Crew Podcast is about, drinking beer together and having, 40, 50-minute podcast times.
Oh my God, we're getting worse. We're not getting better. We're getting worse.
We're getting worse. We're supposed to be quick. That's it. That's day 8. Join us tomorrow for day 9. Actually, tomorrow, Phil's going to have his own thing. I'm going to do a special episode with another Chuggalo.
I'm jealous.
But he's not. I think at this point that he's not even a Chuggalo. He's like.
No.
He's like a. I don't even know what they call it in Hollywood, but he's like a character on the show that's like, it's not even, sometimes they put with special guest Tom Hanks. He's not even that. He's like part of the cast that they just show every episode, but he's not in every episode.
He is.
Kind of how it is.
He's my bud. He's my bro. My brother from another mother.
Damn.
You guys will have fun.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot
I'll be thinking about you guys. I'll be drinking a toast to you guys with tomorrow's offering.
Excellent.
It'll be excellent. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. This has been so fun. I really enjoy this.
Yeah,
day 8. We're a third of the way through.
Wow.
We're a third of the way through the podcast.
Because 8 times 3 is 24.
Yeah, the advent calendar. So
that's how it works.
Here we go.
Triple New England. That's
Chuggalos.
it. That's Brew Crew Podcast.
Enjoy. See you tomorrow.